a very good technology of which they are youths. They've got a potential and which doesn't need to be wasted. Believe it that these very terrorists, they are technologically inclined, and I must tell you, the killing of terrorists will go a long way to increase and to encourage other people left behind to improve their technological inclination. Now, take for statistics, the killing of Saddam Hussein, has it caused any reduction in terrorism? It can never be. Telling you what the former president of the American Bar Association in the declaration of based on death penalty, he said that any system which is evident, which is good to take life, must first of all consider what? Justice. Secondly, we say that every terrorism is politically backed up. Now listen, most of these youths who go on terrorizing, they are being backed up by most of our government parastatals. Believe me that when you kill a terrorist, they will still use another youth to terrorize. So I must tell you that the killing of innocent youths, the killing of people who are being used to terrorize the nation cannot be a solution. In Nigeria, we are talking about solution, not punishment.
2 more minutes.
Now, the cause of terrorism has to do with unemployment. Youth we are, after schooling, after doing everything, judge yourself. When you go home without anything, without any job, I must tell you, you must find something to do. I like my proposing speaker saying that it causes that terrorism is a way of encouraging economic breakdown, citing Aba and Nigeria. And I must tell you, in Aba, go there, I am from Aba, go there is no road, nothing. Let me tell you, as from Aba, there is nothing I can do to ensure that government looks at us than to raise alarm. And that alarm, they will consider it as what? Terrorism. Remember that terrorism retards international recognition. So with these points of mine, I stand firm with court assurance that death penalty should not be the point.
Now from the proposing department, and we're going straight to building technology. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome to the podium the major speaker from the Department of Building Tech, Ndubeze John Paul C.
Good day to you all, my moderators, my chairman, my panel of judges, my co-debaters, my great timekeeper. I greet you all. My name is Ndubeze John Paul C. from Building Technology Department. Our freedom is under attack. Our freedom is being arrested. What is freedom? Can you imagine, as we all are here now, then a bomb is being planted here, and within an hour, it will blow everybody up. Everybody will just die immediately. What is that? It is called terrorism. It is called unleashing of terror. That is the definition I define terrorism. And I say in quotes that it is not just to be a terrorist. It is not just to be a terrorism, but it is just to put an end to terrorism. And I'm listing some facts as my point. Like it is the terrorism fits the crime. When death penalty is very good for terrorism, because of why? It fits the crime. As a criminal, you have to be judged. In the law court, you have to be judged according to the constitutions. And we have an international law court whereby you lay on. It is not a matter of one being oppressed upon. If you're oppressed upon, you follow the due process. And the due process is you going into the international law courts to express your feeling. The second one is that it serves as a deterrent to the terrorism. We have potential terrorism. We have potential terrorists that are still coming up. That punishment will serve as deterrents to terrorism, and they will stop terrorism by death punishment. It serves as an incapacitation of terrorism. Because one, if you put a terrorism in a life jail, in a life imprisonment, he may, due to clement or taking clemency from some countries, he may escape it. He may still kill in that cell or in that prison. Secondly, he can still commit, hence he's alive. He must still kill because he is trained to kill. A terrorist is trained to kill. He will still kill and he will still be killing unless they stop it. For us to stop us, our children, being killed, just like that. Using a reference that happened in 1983 in Oklahoma, USA. The federal building was bombed. It killed about 850 people there. Okay, using Saddam Hussein as an example of a terrorist, he killed no less than millions of people. Adolf Hitler killed no less than millions of people. Please, our children coming up, the posterity will not forgive us if we will live to say the truth. And the truth is to stop terrorism. Terrorism is not good. The fire speaks for itself. Rest inside the battles. Please, my moderator, I would like you to really examine my points, and I'm convincingly sure that that penalty is not good. Due to this fact,
That was from the proposing department, from the Department of Building Tech Department. Please, with that we go to the opposing department. And this time we're taking a drive to civil engineering, the civil engine. And please join me, ladies and gentlemen, as I wait.
Good afternoon, the moderator, distinguished panel of judges, accurate timekeepers, my co-debaters, and viewers. I am here to stand against the motion which says that death penalty is the best punishment for. Death penalty is the best punishment for terrorism, with the following points of mind. 1. Lack of deterrence. It is believed that the essence of every punishment is the deterrence of the repetition of such acts. But contrary to this, and according to statistics made available, it has been proved that death penalty has actually been ineffective. Death penalty has actually been terrorism in our society. Taking an example like this, the fear of future execution does not actually deter these criminals from repeating such heinous crimes under the influence of alcohol, fear, drugs, or maybe mental illness. Taking a closer look and citing an example from our own Niger data, when in 1994, the then leader for the emancipation of a movement of Ogoni people was actually killed for felony and terrorism. The execution of Ken Sarowa did not actually deter these people from committing that for further commission of terrorism over the federal government, but rather jeopardized the little chances the federal government had in the continuous exploitation of oil from the Ogoni kingdom. Secondly, failure of rehabilitation. Putting a convict on death row does not actually accomplish anything. Putting a convict on death row does not actually accomplish. Putting a convict on death row does not. Putting a convict on does not actually accomplish anything. Death penalty actually closes all doors for the criminal to acknowledge his mistakes. The victims might want to see the criminal punished, but death penalty will actually or cannot ease the pain caused by the execution of a loved one. Taking a further look or looking closely, isn't it better for Nigeria when in 1998 our own former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, was actually sentenced to prison rather than being killed for felony and coup? For he later came out to become a changed and better person and become the first democratically elected president of Nigeria. Thirdly, fairness injustice. Death penalty is said to be the killing of an individual for retribution over heinous crimes committed such as sarcastic killing, felony killing, or even contract killing. Then looking at this, I know we all believe in fairness and justice, which is equity. Now tell me, where does equity stand? When someone who is convicted for mass murder with use of biological agents, chemical agents, or other firearms is convicted for life, is convicted for death sentence, and then the other who is convicted for terrorism is actually sentenced to 25 years imprisonment, because according to section 18 of 116B of the United States Code, which defines terrorism as 1. The act of kidnapping and detaining, threatening to kill or continuous detaining of an other individual in order to compel a third body, including governmental bodies, in order to act or abstain from acting in explicit or implicit condition for the release of the individual. Then tell me, is there fairness in this justice? Fourthly, the denial of the fundamental human right. It is believed or said that death penalty actually denies the fundamental human right, which is the right to life. Tell me, and in the law court, it is defined as the premeditated and cold-blooded killing of an individual. Every individual has the right to second chance, isn't it? Then, looking at it very well now, tell me, of what use or how are we different from the person who actually murdered and we that are murdering the person? The fundamental human right is being defeated by death penalty. Thereby, and I believe that since every individual has the right to life, it is thereby better that life is very precious, and we should thereby in our own way or try in a way of preserving it to its fullness. Thank you very much.
And that was from the 5th department, from the opposing department, civil engineering. Please join me as I will travel to the Department of Architecture.
My moderators, panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I, Juliana Eberechuku, representing the Department of Architecture, stand to propose the fact that death penalty is the best punishment for terrorism. UN defines terrorism as the act that is intended to cause death or any bodily harm to a civilian or non-combatant with the intention to intimidate or compel the government or non-governmental organization to do an act or abstain from doing that act. By this, you can deduce that terrorists are killers, and so because they cause death. Now, sin, killing an individual, an innocent individual, is sin. And God said that the soul that sinneth, what happens? Shall die. The same holy book said again that an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, which is what? Retribution. So because terrorists are calculated killers, I want to put forward that death sentence is the best penalty. It is the ideal. In fact, it is the most appropriate punishment that can be given to terrorism. Now, if you talk about killing, I'm talking about two types of killing in this case. I want to tell my opponent that if you say that God has gave right to life because Jesus Christ died and gave us life, I want to tell you that killing of an innocent soul is intrinsically wrong and sinful, and that is what terrorists do. Death penalty actually is, which legal definition calls capital sentence, is actually a credential judgment on a guilty life. And so, because terrorists kill, they should do what? Die. I want to go further in this point. Let us consider justice. Look at justice and the rule of a nation, on the nature of a society. The basic credential principles on which a society stands is that every individual has a right to life, to liberty, and to the pursuit of happiness. Some acts that terrorists commit are so vile and so disastrous that it doesn't give them reason to keep existing in the same vicinity with those whom they have offended. And as a result, justice demands that anyone who violates the fundamental principles of life, violates the fundamental principles of equity, violates the fundamental principles on which the society is based, is not expected to exist in such a society. Death penalty is also a deterrence. The presence of police, for instance, in this environment will keep you from committing criminal acts. The presence of criminal sentences will stop terrorists from committing the acts they are doing. And as so, you can see that death penalty will deter an evil person, terrorist in this case, from committing sin. If simple minor sentences can deter criminals from committing criminal acts. I want to also put forward that death penalty is also going to help a safe community. It's going to prosper, it's going to cause growth of a community. For example, if you discover that the next person sitting beside you is a terrorist and has decided to escape your family, what will be your reaction? And as a result, I want to put forward to you very strongly, indisputably, that death sentence is the best penalty, is the best punishment that can be offered to terrorists. Look again at the issue of decrease in crime rates. Death penalty will reduce the rate at which crime is committed. In the US, from 1966 to 1980, it was discovered that when they suspended the use of execution on death penalty, crime rate increased from 11,040 to 23,040, which is more than double. So I want to put it again. With these reasons, emphatically, indisputably, it's unintimidated that death penalty is the best punishment for terrorism. Thank you.
That was from the proposing Department of Architecture. Ladies and gentlemen, Ekebe Eric, please put your hands together and welcome to the podium.
Good day, the moderator, impartial panel of judges, accurate timekeeper, co-debaters, and my fellow students. I am here to oppose the motion which says that terrorism is the best, that death punishment is the best option to terrorism. First of all, let us know what terrorism is. Terrorism is the act of causing bodily harm to an individual. But first of all, how does terrorism start or come about? First of all, terrorism started in Arab. And the reason for this terrorism was that they want the government to act and act fastly. Now, if you want to make the government to act and act fastly, you have to engage in terrorism. But that was not for the sake of causing nuisance to the society. But it was because they want the government to be straightforward in their decision making. Now, we want to talk about that the Arabians, in those days, if you kill any of their persons that was engaged in terrorism, because they believe that if they engage in this terrorism, that it is for a just act. And so, if you kill them, their brothers and their relatives will bounce back, and thereby causing greater terrorists. So, my dear friends, the Bible tells us in John chapter 10, verse 10, that the thief has come to kill, steal, and to destroy, which is the terrorism. But Christ has come that we may have life and have it more abundantly. And now, the only person that has the right to take somebody's life is God. And nobody can take away somebody's life. And if you do that, you have a greater query to answer before God. Now, terrorism, killing, to be forbidden by God. In Exodus chapter 20, verse 5, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." Now, let me tell you something. There was someone that was engaged in terrorists, but the solution to that person was that somebody has to testify that he is the one that will save that person's life. But he knew that this person is a terrorist, but saved the person's life. From then, that person went forward to convert other persons, even his fellow terrorists, and they became Christians. They became repentants. Now, meting out of menial or corporal punishment.
2 more minutes.
Now, this punishment, it should not only be by death, but rather by meting out